Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Comic Conquest. Today, we're talking about the highly anticipated Deadpool and Wolverine. And man, what a disappointment. No, I'm just kidding. That shit was gas.
It's a cooker. It's a cooker for sure, August.
That thing was fire, dude.
Let's go to our classic breakdown view prediction. Burp.
Burp. I'm so excited.
First, we got to talk about the opening sequence, of course, with NSYNC. Just high class action, right? How do you make it? It's just everything Deadpool. They mix so much stuff with so much stuff. And when he was digging up the body originally, August, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I was like, I pray he uses like some part of this adamantium skeleton. He uses the whole thing. And it also kind of steps on the foot of Logan a little bit. Like,
Oh yeah, I think it's hilarious. When they announced that Hugh was coming back, the first thing they said was, "How does this interfere with Logan?" And they're like, "It doesn't. It doesn't." And one of the first lines in Deadpool 3 is, "How do we do this without interfering with Logan? We don't. I have to dig his body up." I thought that shit was so funny. Killing a bunch of people with a skeleton is just the most insane Deadpool thing I can think of. And like Logan's skeleton on top of that is just
with the sequence.
What an amazing sequence. How do you even think of that?
And that kind of leads us to this like weird 6-year jump they had from when he visits Happy Hogan, apparently.
Right before Infinity War, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's March and then April, so like the next month shit goes down for the Avengers.
Yeah, and well, we got to talk about how we find Wolverine, because we find out that Deadpool's universe is missing its anchor person,
Yeah.
and MCU Jesus, Marvel Jesus, has to go find a Wolverine to replace him because Paradox says so. And Paradox, of course, we're back at the TVA, which everyone saw in the trailers.
Yeah.
And he goes and finds on the sequence of finding different Logans to find the one that needs to replace his Logan.
What a great variation or variety of Logans, by the way. I find it hilarious that most of them were just they did the Doctor Strange thing where it's just Hugh Jackman a bunch of across the multiverse.
Well, not all of them were.
Not all of them. I'll get there. We got the classic brown suit that people have been dying for, just asking for that. We got our comic accurate tiny Wolverine. That was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
Seeing Hugh Jackman shrunk down to shorter than a bar. Fantastic. We had Age of Apocalypse crazy Wolverine. That was cool. We had Patch in there for a second. And then what's the last one, Cole?
Well, we had Henry Cavill Wolverine, which I was like, because they panned to his back, and I was like, damn, Hugh Jackman's jacked. I was like, right? I know he's jacked, but I was like, damn, he's big for this movie. He's huge. And when he turned around, I was like, oh.
Cavalrine! I think that's the most, like, wasn't expecting that.
Jaw dropper. Yeah, that was like, once you see that, that's when you know, and nothing's off limits, right? They continually keep hitting like these, like, you're like, what? What's happening? And that takes us to the Logan that we find, who's drunk as shit at a bar. They go to the TVA, he takes this Logan, and then Paradox is like, you can't just take a Logan and drop him in.
By the way, that Logan sucks. That's like, you chose the worst one out of all of them, too. Shenanigans happen when they meet up with Paradox, and they zap him to the... I seriously, I can't remember what it's called, but the like trash heap where everything is thrown. The void or something, right? Don't worry about it. It's
with
the names on him. Yeah, with Eliath. It's in Loki.
Season 1, episode 5 of Loki.
While in the void, we get another amazing action sequence between Deadpool and Wolverine. Cole, this action sequence, fantastic. We saw the bits of it in the trailer, where Deadpool like loads the pistols.
The guns.
Amazing. After the big sequence, Cole. Who do we run into?
After the big sequence, August, we run into Chris Evans, who people you would assume would think is Captain America, because they hype up Captain America at the beginning, August. He's like, Cap? And Thor? Why is Thor crying? Anyway, we see Cap, and, well, he's not Cap, of course. As soon as I saw him, I was like, this is Johnny Storm, of course. If you're getting him, like, of course it's Johnny Storm. And this is another of one of those cameos where I was like, well, if you guys got Chris Evans, like, we're going all out, right? Like,
It took me a minute to think it was Johnny Storm. Because, like, they have him in all blue, and you just kind of see sleeves, and he's got some, like, red, like, bandages on his arms. They're, like, totally trying to get you to think it's Captain America. Until he, like, starts talking, and he's just like, hey, fuck you! And you're like, what? Whoa! That's not Cap.
Beautiful. Of course, Deadpool calls it out. We can't have this guy here for too long. But Johnny, he says the words, flame on, and the one villain he has to fight, of course, is Pyro for some reason. Poor Johnny. And I thought he died right then and there, August. I was like,
Same. Like, the way he was falling, like, he fell on his crotch. I was like, oh, KO already. And then he just kept falling on, like, his neck and shit. I was like, he's dead. He died. He's gone. He's fine. He's chilling.
Which they take us to, our course, Cassandra, the main villain of this movie, who very quickly they establish is powerful. Charles' twin, of course. Mm-hmm. She rips the skin off Johnny's body, which you would think I'm exaggerating, but she quite literally does that.
It's terrifying.
Then our boys, they fly off. But one thing I want to talk about, August, of course, the villains of this movie, Paradox and Cassandra, who I thought really, when I walked out of the theater, August, I was like, well, I was kind of upset by the villains, but they do establish them very well early on. Like, for characters that you have no idea about anything, it's not pre-established. Like, people are going to walk in the theater assuming stuff about Cassandra, but there's a big majority of audiences that don't know that character. They make her pretty scary pretty fast, right?
Yeah.
And I think they do a good job of pacing that. I was a little, like, when I walked out, I was like, oh, but I was like, but then she did tear off his skin, and I was like, and, like, she has all these groups, and she lives in it. Like, you could see how she's the villain.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've kind of just been summarizing the start, but that's because there's so many good moments there. We kind of die down. We get a lot of more interactions between the two, right? Just kind of learning more about this Wolverine, and I'm going to skip over a bunch of that, right?
One of my favorite sequences of them kind of, like, bonding and figuring each other out, August, was in the Honda Odyssey that they get from Nice Pool and Dog Pool.
Yeah.
Which has definitely got to be some, like, sex allegory that they're going at it so hard in the Honda Odyssey.
100%.
But this movie does not hold back on the action sequences. Like, the car is destroyed. It's mangled. It's so bloody. I was really surprised. Like, Disney did not hold back for this movie, for sure.
Yeah. I think Disney kind of, or just kind of letting the Deadpool writers and everyone associated with the previous two films just kind of do what they wanted to do with probably a bigger budget, I assume, since now they're not just
gotta be a big budget,
not just relying on Fox anymore and their dying universe. I think it's just fantastic the way that they're throwing Wade up out of the car. They're breaking his arm and then throwing it. I thought they were playing pretty fun with just being able to stab the shit out of somebody, especially between Deadpool and Wolverine.
And then it takes us to where they wake up.
Yeah.
Inside the, I don't know what to call it, like a Borderlands or what team that technically is, but we meet our team, which was full of a lot of surprises for me, August, of course.
100%. Every time they kept walking out, man, I was shocked. Except for the last person, I was like, yeah, I knew that.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
The next person, I was like, no, what? Cool. Who was it?
So, of course, Jennifer Garner, I think, was leaked for this movie a long time ago, who I kind of forgot about. But I was like, that's still sick. And then the biggest one for me, where I was like, well, actually all of them. You're right. I was like, what? Wesley Snipes' Blade shows up, and I was like, no way they got Wesley Snipes' Blade in this movie.
That
who's,
shocked
of course,
me.
His first two movies are so sick. And then we saw who I couldn't even have put. I would have never even put any money on this. Channing Tatum Gambit showed up. He was kind of a joke, but his outfit is like, damn.
It's as comic accurate as you would dream of it, and I love that for Gambit. He was always like, man, I really wish people knew about me. Because if you didn't know, real quick history lesson: the Gambit movie was supposed to star Channing Tatum, never really got picked up, and he really wanted to do the movie, so now he's making jokes about how he wanted to be Gambit. And there you go.
And of course, X-23, who we all expected to see. And then they're just like, let's go get Cassandra because she could take us out of this place, and let's leave. And then, of course, there's comedy with, them killing Johnny Storm. And, well, Wesley Snipes has some great comments, too, about being the only Blade and that there's never going to be another one.
There's only one, and there's only ever going to be one. Was like,
yeah. And
Who's
then we learned, like, about a lot of different heroes that were, I guess, like, came through here, like the Punisher, and they said Daredevil, and I don't remember who other names did they say. Quicksilver.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, right?
On Magneto.
Magneto, too, who I really wanted to see.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this place is that there's never been any Logans, I guess. Like, this is the first Wolverine to ever be there.
It's super rare, I think.
Which is kind of just putting him on this pedestal. And then they go and attack Cassandra, and Logan's being all moody, and he's like, I don't want to go. And then, of course, he does the right thing at the end because he talked to his daughter, and he shows up. And then it takes us to this action sequence, which, to be honest, I really wasn't loving at first. Like, for some reason, I felt like it was very shaky at first, and then it really didn't find its pacing until the end when Alioth was coming.
Yeah.
But the whole plan is to take Juggernaut's helmet, right, and throw it on Cassandra. Then, of course, they leave, and, well, if you saw them, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you saw the movie, and they have to deal with Paradox, and then Cassandra shows up, and Hugh Jackman is ripped when they're saving this.
I feel like you're forgetting the whole Deadpool core.
Yeah, so, I was going to go to that. The Deadpool core shows
Spoilers.
up. It's 100 Deadpools. And something, I guess, that I was, like, interested. Of course, he puts on the mask, too, which apparently he just had behind there the whole time.
Yeah, when he's doing that, I was like, where the fuck was that? Where the... I'm just glad it wasn't nanotech. I was legitimately so scared that, because every single picture I'd ever seen, there was no indication of mask. I was just ready for him to, like, press a button on, like, the collar, and it just fucking pop up, and I was going to...
He just pulls it out. Which yeah, I'm good with.
I'm fine with that. Don't worry about it.
Yep. And then they kill 100 Deadpool. They kill 100 Deadpools. And this part of the movie, August, I'm so traumatized from like these bad adaptations and stuff we got. I was like, they can't kill 100 Deadpools. Like that's just not a thing that can happen.
100%. I was there with you.
I was like, are they killing them all? I was like, the bodies are dropping. And when they jump out of the bus, August, which was another sick shot and scene, this whole sequence at the end is kind of like just a lighting dream. Like it's just like, let's get all of our like full panel shots in basically if we're making a comic book. And all the Deadpools got up, and I was like, thank God, because if they killed 100 Deadpools, I would have been like, now we're losing me.
Yeah, I feel like what they were they set it up with Nice Pool not having a healing factor, so just to like bring you into this like, oh yeah, you could kill them all, none of them out, and I was like, this is ridiculous. They should all be getting up. They're just laying there, and yeah, as soon as they started like standing back up, I was like, oh, thank God.
And our characters make the heroic sacrifice, as I mentioned, and Hugh Jackman is 55, and God is that man repped. He is jacked man. He lives up to the name.
Huge jacked man.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like blown away. And then, sorry. And then they defeat Cassandra, and we find out a lot about like that Logan, but I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. They defeat Cassandra and Paradox, and then B-15 shows up. It's kind of just like I feel like they were just kind of trying to wrap it up. Like, okay, yeah. B-15 already knows because Paradox is kind of a dickhead. Can't forget about Peter.
Peter, Pookie Bear. What a huge W for Peter coming in. Apparently all Deadpools have a Peter, which the joke is not lost on me. I just find it funny that this one, you got it, there we go, loaded in for you.
I already got it. But I loved that B-15 loved Deadpool's Peter.
That was hilarious. And that suit looks damn good on you.
Which just takes us to the end of our movie where Wolverine... It kind of ends up in Logan's or in Deadpool's universe, the Logan universe. I called it the Logan universe. Didn't make sense because he's anyway. But you got what I was trying to say. Yeah. And that was kind of the end of the movie, which I was surprised by.
Yeah, I agree.
And to be honest, August, when I walked out of the theater, I wasn't like in love. I was like, I was kind of like in shock still. I was a little upset, and I was like, well, I feel like Wolverine was the only character that went through an arc there, and his arc is really good, right? We have, his stuff with the X-Men, and I was like, they always do that, but I was like, I've seen it 100 times, and then I was like, and the villains weren't that great, but as I mentioned, I was like, but it makes sense. Like, it's hard to make a new villain, and then they're pretty menacing, like Cassandra with the fingers. That one action sequence, I was like, Deadpool ends up in the same places, and I was like, he becomes Deadpool again, and I was like, and then I was like, oh wait, this is a good movie. Wait, this movie's sick.
I think you're used to coming out of a Marvel movie, hyped, and then like the more you think about it, the more you dislike it. But this movie, it's not perfect. At no point is it perfect, but it's a damn good movie.
And I couldn't poke any holes in the plot. I was like, oh, connects. I was like, oh wait, this makes sense. This makes sense, and it's an entertaining, fun movie. I was laughing the whole time. I was like, this is a good movie. Like, what are we doing? I mean, of course, there's like little gripes I have here and there. Like, I wish maybe they emphasize a little more what's happening with Deadpool in this movie, because I don't think I don't think it fully sits in that this character hasn't been Deadpool for 6 years. I know they tried to establish it, like he has a dead-end job and his standstill life. I think you could have played into that a little more. You're trying to cram like 20 years worth of Fox into a movie and be like, okay, what's happening now?
Yeah.
And they juggle it really well.
The whole X-Men being taken out by just humans, Wolverine never said, okay, like Sentinels showed up or like a virus happened or something.
That's a great point. You do learn more that like he was just killing everyone, and he was kind of making mutants be hated more, and you could feel the guilt for that. And I originally thought that this Wolverine was gonna be the version that killed all the X-Men, like by accident.
That's what I was thinking.
I couldn't tell if that was the vibe or not, but I really think humans got him somehow. They don't show any other X-Men like in his universe get murdered or anything. But I was okay with skipping past that because it's not an X-Men movie; it's a Deadpool movie. But I think they do a great job of kind of having this overarching story for that version of Wolverine, making me excited to see Wolverine again.
Yeah.
Which I think they could have had a big miss there with that character, and I think they hit the mark really well. That was the one character when I walked out, I was like, that character was done super well, as always.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Hugh Jackman staying. I love Hugh. Don't get me wrong. I recently finally watched all the X-Men movies. I'm caught up, guys. I understand. I get it. I love him. He's fantastic. Deadpool says this like 60 times, like till you're 90. And I'm kind of there with him. Like, I don't know if Kevin Feige said that this is the beginning of mutants in the MCU. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, I got a whole other thing about that. I was gonna say for predictions. I think Hugh Jackman's got maybe 1 or 2 more Wolverine appearances left in him, and I think they passed the torch to Daphne and Kent, or what's her name?
Keen. Yeah,
Daphne Keen.
Daphne Keen. Yeah.
And I think you make X-23 Wolverine like she is in the comic books, because I think that's such a smooth transition that makes sense, especially in relation to like what we actually did. Like how we've seen Wolverine for the past 24 years. I think it makes sense for like him to transition the mantle to her by the end of whatever movies they want him in.
Yeah.
But let's just give it a review, August. Like, let's give it a number right now.
Review.
1 to 10.
Yeah. Coming out of the movie, I was riding high. I was at a solid 9. I don't know that this. I don't know if I can give it a 9 necessarily. I don't know, but I feel like 8.5 to 9 range, man. It was super, said.
It's good. I walked out, August, and I was like, what my buddy I was seeing it with was like, that was an 8.7, and I was like, honestly, dude, I was like, this is like a 7.3 for me. But as I was going home, I was like, wait, this sense. And then I kept thinking about the movie and the jokes in it and the action sequences, and I was like, nah, they cooked. I was like, this is like an 8. I'm putting it 8.7, 8.6 range. I was like, that's just a great, if you have like these movies that have been kind of stagnant or whatever, like that's a great jumping off point for them. Mm-hmm. Because that movie is everything I want a Marvel movie to be.
As
Now we
well
could
as a
go on to
solid
the-
use of the multiverse. I just wanna put this out there. They used
Great
the
highlight,
multiverse wasn't a gag. It wasn't like, forget what it's called, but it wasn't just like this crutch that they were leaning on. It was a part of the story, which is something that they haven't.
use Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly. Like multiverse of madness. The multiverse was just like, ha, look at this. But this was like, the multiverse was crucial to this, kind of like how the Spider-Verse works. It wasn't just.
Well, that's what I also think I liked about Loki season 2, right? Is like I felt like they were finally getting a hold of this multiverse thing, and I felt like Ant-Man and the Wasp was kind of like, I just didn't see the scope of how they were trying to do there, and this had like a good scope and drive and range to it.
Yeah.
Where everything, as I said, everything served its purpose, everything connects, and that's why I really started to dig this movie. The more I think about it, I was like, oh, I want to go see that again, because I kept thinking of all these pieces that made sense. That being said, August, you talk about the multiverse. I think we have to go into kind of what's the next steps, predictions for the MCU. The whole movie, they're joking that the multiverse thing is done, like they're putting it on pause because the ratings weren't good enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like the truth or not, because it's Deadpool, so you can't believe everything he's saying, but I could kind of see it going that way. And of course, today, August, we're filming this on the day Comic-Con is happening this weekend, and I believe Marvel Studios thing is happening today. So we'll see updates of what's happening. We'll see updates of like what Feige's planning.
Yeah.
But I would be fine if we're done with like if this was the last multiverse sort of movie, which I don't think it will be, because August they left them in the Logan universe.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see like how do you play into this. I would love maybe if you do Secret Wars and then that's it for the multiverse stuff, and we go into mutants.
That's kind of what I was gonna suggest.
Yeah.
Is that
so? If you have any thoughts,
I think if they are pivoting, which I really hope they are, because as much as I love seeing all these different characters and stuff, I'm done. I like, you guys kind of fumbled it at first and then didn't get. I think you do your Secret Wars like real soon. Like, you've already kind of had this like stuff. You can merge any universe you want to merge. You just have Deadpool in the MCU. You kind of start things over and like a little bit of a soft reboot, you know? Kind of what I can't believe I'm saying this, but kind of what they did for Crisis on Infinite Earths in the CW show. They kind of just merged everything together, soft rebooted a couple of things, and you know what? Nobody complained about it. I think you just do that with the MCU, and you'll get your mutants in there. It'll just be fine.
And I think that's the next thing to talk about. I agree with you. I think you gotta get Secret Wars out within 3 years. I gotta see like the end of this within 3 years, because they lost the big picture. They lost the big picture of it to me.
Yeah.
Where when you had the Infinity Saga, the big picture was there the whole time. Now that going forward, the mutant stuff, I don't know how you do that, because I do want to see Magneto again. I do want to see some of these characters again. I don't know how you're gonna fit them in there if you don't do some sort of soft reboot or something like August mentioned. Because this movie didn't really take any steps towards that, besides Paradox was going to offer Deadpool to be in the MCU, and maybe that's still like part of the whole thing. Maybe that he wasn't lying to Deadpool, but that could have been totally he could have been lying, because that was just Dark World footage, right? He doesn't know what Thor.
No, because Thor had the scar. I think that was new footage of.
Was it? I thought it was just rotoscope Deadpool onto.
That was Thor had the scar. I think it was a whole new scene. So they also got Chris Hemsworth to cameo. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not 100% on that, but if it was, let us know in the comments. I forgot to mention this, August, and maybe you'll put this in a different part of the video. I forgot to mention, but B-15 says to Wolverine and Deadpool, like, I'm going to call on you in the future, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and for me, I don't know if I want B-15 running the whole Secret Wars thing, but whatever happens. I think they're just trying to throw like a line out in the water, probably.
Is she actually the Beyonder? Is that what B-15 stands for?
Oh my God, August! Whoa!
Clip it.
No, but, interesting. Not that you should do it, but you know.
Do it. Fucking do it. Watch what happens.
Another crazy prediction for August.
in terms of what's coming up next, we've got Captain America: New World Order. I highly doubt that has anything to do with multiverse at all.
Zero multiverse stuff. Of course, the movie I think will deal with his Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think because they're actually dimensional travelers is what they
believe
told.
What
we were told, and that makes sense.
And then, of course, we saw Galactus at
San Diego
Comic-Con yesterday.
Otherwise, let us know what you thought about Deadpool 3. Are we just wrong? Was this just another piece of shit that Marvel has slopped on and we're just sucking it up? Or did you like it? Like, subscribe, ring that notification bell for your and join our Patreon. No, I'm kidding. We don't have that. Cole, any final words?
Like, comment, subscribe. That's it, August. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.